Hello and welcome to this Lich and Apprentice painting tutorial for Frostgrave. My name is Peter Harrison and I run the YouTube channel TWG. And in this video I'll be showing you how you can paint both the wizard and his apprentice that have fallen to the dark side of magic, and I'll be using the Army Painter's range of paints to do so. For this tutorial I'll be painting both the Lich and his apprentice simultaneously, and as you can see I've primed them both with the Army Painter's matte black spray primer. As the miniatures are quite dark, this acts as a really good place to start. Now the first task in painting this particular miniature is to paint all of the dark purple areas. Now if you just bring in a, you can see here we've got the photography of the painted miniatures here. You can see that most of the actual clothing of the Lich and also the apprentice is actually this dark purple. So we're painting that with a mixture of matte black and alien purple, mixed in roughly 30% matte black quantity to 70% alien purple. Once the first layer is down, the next step is to apply some highlights over the edges of the purple robes, and for this we'll be using alien purple. The next step in painting the purple cloth areas is to apply a mix of 50-50 ash grey and alien purple to the very edges of the cloth areas. Once the highlights are complete, the next step is to wash over the purple areas with purple tone ink. Once the wash is completed, the next step is to paint all of the leather areas, such as the pouches around the waist there. We're painting these areas with oak brown. With the first base layer completed, the next step is to highlight the leather areas with leather brown. final step for painting the leather areas is to wash over them with strong tone ink. We will next be painting the flesh areas of the Lich, and for this we'll be using barbarian flesh. With the base coat completed, the next step is to highlight the skin with a 50-50 mix of barbarian flesh and ash grey. Now the final step for painting the flesh is to apply a very watered down wash of dark tone ink. The next step is to highlight all of the edges of the black areas with uniform grey. The next step is to apply a second highlight onto the black areas using the very top edges, and we'll be also painting the Lich's hair as well. And for this we'll be using ash grey. With the highlight completed, we can now start with a wash, and we're washing over dark tone ink for the entirety of the black areas, and also a very thinned down version of the dark tone ink over the hair as well. The next step is to highlight the hair, the individual strands, with matte white. The next step is to paint the pages in the book that the apprentice is holding, and also the scrolls that are attached to the hip of the Lich there as well. We're painting these areas with skeleton bone. base layer is down, we can now wash over it with soft toning. So now that the wash has dried and given this old parchment look, we're now going to be painting in some text into the book, and for this we'll be using matte black. We will now be focusing on the metallic areas, such as the staff here, and we're painting that with gunmetal. For the next step, I'll be highlighting any of the metal areas, which includes the staff and any other metal areas on the miniature, and I'll be using shining silver for this. So next I'll be washing over the metal areas, such as the staff there, using dark toning. The final areas of this miniature that we'll be painting will be the gold detailing, and for this we'll be using greedy gold. For the final step, I'll be washing over the gold areas with strong toning.